Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss, right here on LA Talk Radio.
What Women Want Talk Radio is what women want to hear. Hello, I'm your host, Judy Goss, and with me this evening is my co-host, Helen Powers, and here at What Women Want, we celebrate women of all ages every Sunday evening with over 6,000 listeners a month after only months on air and increasing rapidly from month to month by 1,000 new listeners at a time. We bring you the topics you want to hear. Tonight's show is about love. Is it out there for you? And if it is, where the heck can you find it? I meet hundreds of women every month across the country through my networking company, Over 40 Females, and also when I'm traveling for TV and speaking appearances. And one of the most common complaints I hear is the pain of trying to find a soulmate or even just someone worthy of dating. It's not so easy, so hopefully we can figure it out with two authors of Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life, who will be coming on the show with us in just a few minutes. What Women Want Talk Radio is right here on the hottest radio station in the country, LA Talk Radio, every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and was created by me to give the women the opportunity to listen to and be inspired by our internationally recognized guests and celebrities, and to also give women a chance to be on national radio. So if you want to come on the air with us, submit your pitch at whatwomenwantshow@gmail.com. That's whatwomenwantshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And this week we're talking about love. Next week, marketing your business, and we are open to every topic that women would want to hear. Or you can tweet us at What Women Radio. We would love to hear from you, and we'll actually tweet back. How about that? A little about me. I was in the publishing world as an editor for Cosmopolitan, then More magazines. I became More's national media spokesperson, traveling around the country, doing hundreds of TV segments, and moved on to be a TV host, and after that interviewed A-list celebrities and hosted my own show about women on Better TV. I'm also a published author with St. Martin's Press, and the founder and CEO of a nationally acclaimed networking organization called Over 40 Females, with over 20 chapters around the country. And we're opening 3 more next month from California to Ohio. I am blessed to be expanding so rapidly. And I'm also blessed to be the mom of 2 beautiful twin girls who are now almost 11 years old. And you can find out more about me on judygoss.com. And my co-host, Helen Powers, is also on the air. And Helen is a TV, fashion, and travel insider correspondent for NBC Connecticut, while also still working as the most legendary, internationally recognized fit model and technical consultant for the fashion industry, and has been featured many, many times on major TV networks, along with now being a regular on NBC Connecticut. She's an advisory board member for Over 40 Females, and we are thrilled to have her as a radio show host right here on LA Talk Radio. Helen, last week was religion and spirituality. This week's love. Next week is, are you tripping over your marketing shoelaces? We're covering all the bases this month.
Well, that's what I love about the show, Judy, is because each week I really sit on the edge of my seat looking forward to each topic because they're so relevant to every part of my life.
Thank you. Yeah, we've talked about finances, and we've talked about our health, and we've talked about things that women want to talk about and things women don't want to talk about. So I love that too, because it just kind of comes up spontaneously. And no matter what subject we're talking about, it seems like the guests and everyone is just so candid, and we learn so much, right?
Absolutely. Well, last week was so much fun learning about numerology, because I find that really fascinating how it can all work into your life. And lately, as I mentioned, I've been watching a lot of spiritual shows. You know, they have the Easter holidays come up, Passover's coming up. So I always love to watch the religious movies, the Bible or Moses and the 10 Commandments. So that was a great show. I really enjoyed that last week, how you work in numerology and religion all coming into a spiritual awakening now.
Definitely. And one of our guests actually named his children according to numerology rules. So I think that's pretty interesting to actually, I think he was going to name them something else and then he changed, realizing that it would be better if he named them, you know, something according to the date they were born. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I'm looking at the title of the book, and I am so anxious to learn sexy secrets and the juiciness of it all. I am clenching my fingers together and rubbing them together. It sounds like a good story. I can't wait to hear some tidbits, because I've been divorced for 18 years, and finding a date is not the easiest thing in the world. So I'm looking forward to hearing some juicy love life secrets.
That is for sure. I wish they were around when I got married the first time. But you know what, Helen? There's a lot of women out there like you, and men, I'm sure, too. But mostly I talk to women, obviously, because of the careers that I'm in. But there are so many of us out there, and I'd like to bring on our first guest. Lorii Abela is a multi-awarded international leader and motivational speaker, matchmaker, and an acknowledged expert on soulmates, co-author of 4 international best-selling books, including Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life, Volumes 1 and 2. Lorii helps find singles their soulmates using the law of attraction. Ooh, that is very relevant to what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. And Lorii is an esteemed member of our Over 40 Females chapter in Chicago. We love that.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've been wondering about how you can turn your light on and enchant your soulmate into entering your life, Lorii has the answers. Okay, Lorii, let us in on some of these answers. We got a lot of people single out there.
Hello, how are you? Hello to everybody who's listening. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Judy.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Thank you. So I'm curious, first of all, that this whole subject of finding your soulmate brings me to the very relevant topic about the mistakes that single women make to keep them single. Not that you're making mistakes, Helen, but there's got to be something that, women are doing out there, or maybe not doing.
Yeah, so you're right. So women have to be educated, I should say. But anyway, I categorize them in 3 kinds of numbers. So the first one, I call them Mr. Wrong Choice. So these are the people who doesn't know what they want. So when you ask them, what do you want? They'll just tell that, I want somebody who is good looking, who is stable, and they can just probably tell you 3 kinds of things that they want, but they haven't really been specific enough. So the tendency for this kind of people is to find someone who is wrong for them. So they ended up being Mr. Wrong Choice. So they usually are wondering, how come it happened to me? So obviously because they don't know what they want. So the second type of person, I classify them as Miss Know-It-All. So obviously they are the type of people who doesn't want to ask help. So they are ignoring their friends' help, even matchmakers' help, or even dating coaches' help, because they know that they are aware of everything. So they don't want to ask for anybody's help. So those people who usually fall into this matter is those which are divorced. Because obviously they have realized, I've been into too many relationships, and they even advise other people about relationship wherein they think that they're the guru, but actually they're not, because obviously their relationship failed. And then there's, of course, the most popular one, which is the unapproachable chick. So these are the ones which are usually hanging out with women friends who do not believe in love, in dating, or relationship, and I should say men in general. So they're unapproachable. So they are also attached with past relationships. So obviously they're unapproachable. And those who tend to show defeat, unworthiness, or they don't have self-esteem, so they have lost their self-confidence. So those are the kind of categories.
What about the myths? I'm too busy. I've had a career for all my life, and then all of a sudden I want to meet someone.
Oh,
yeah, that's what's in the approachable chick, because they're closing the distance between them and the other person.
They're making themselves unapproachable.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think
obviously
they're doing that?
It can be felt by the other person.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I think it is, Judy? I think it's sometimes the busy career women like myself and single mothers. We go from our career and then we have to go home and make dinner. So there really doesn't leave a lot of time to make ourselves approachable, because we're either at our careers or we're home. So, I think and some of us don't like the online dating, I think, because it's either age or it's a lot of work. I mean, it's almost like a career in itself, online dating. So are there, I guess you want to get into other choices we may have to maybe manifest
I think
the soulmate?
It's got some good advice about busy career-oriented people. Lorii, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So for people who are busy, especially those people who have children, as she was saying, and obviously those who have been CEOs in their life, obviously they are wondering how can they even put some time for somebody else. So it's a constant practice. So you have to make sure that you're giving time for it. So let's say you don't have anybody yet. I usually encourage people to set aside a particular time every week. So you set aside that particular time that you are thinking about, okay, this is my date time, even though you don't have a date. Because if you put it in your calendar, subconsciously you're making it yourself know that you are available and you have this particular spot for this person. So if you're practicing that, then obviously you're attracting this other person to show up in your life because you have set aside the time. So imagine how many times you're going to be able to do in a particular year. So let's say you haven't found a person in a year. So it's 52 hours in a year because you are setting aside 1 hour per week. So obviously you have to make sure as well that you are prepared, because if you're not prepared for somebody to show up in your life, so it's not going to happen. You have to make sure that you are taking the steps in order to set aside the time and to build it mentally. Because if you don't, everything which you're attracting to yourself comes to you with the start of a thought. So if you don't put some thought on it, nothing's going to happen. And you have to also change your story. So you're changing your story saying that, okay, there are a lot of men out there and they are available for me and I'm available for them. That's the way that you should change your pattern in order to make things a reality.
So if I understand you correctly, what you're suggesting is that we manifest in our mind a projection of, you know, I'm going to allow myself this time to let the universe allow somebody into my life. So I'm setting aside this hour, whether it's, you know, to go online or to go out to dinner with a friend, to open the space in your heart and your mind to allow somebody to enter into your life. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. At the same time, you know, it's going to be much more effective as if, you know, you're acting as if. So as if this person is already in your life. Once you're doing that, you're giving more chances for you to be recognized that you're ready. So let's say you are seated in front of your dining table. Set another set of placemat and plate over there, because you're acting as if this person is already in your life.
So get there, Helen. You're not too old to have an invisible friend.
I love that. Okay, that's great.
And then you know, in your closet, you have to set aside a space for him as well. Because similar when you're traveling, you are preparing for your travel, even though you're not there yet. You already are ready with your clothes. This one, you're preparing a space for him.
I always like when I'm flying on the plane, you know, that nobody sits next to me on the plane. You know, this is another reason I'll try to manifest that. Oh, I'm waiting for that somebody special to sit down at the flight next to me. Yes, I'm definitely.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, on my dining table.
I always visualized, before I met Bruce, I always visualized a man that was, I wanted him to be over 6 feet tall, have blue eyes, and dance really well. And look what happened. So it really does work. Maybe you should try it.
Well, I definitely manifested my daughter. I started when I won't even start about talking about age, but I did take 6 years. But every day and every time I would speak, I want to get married and have a baby. I want to get married. So I really had that in the forefront of my mind. So I guess if I really wanted to date somebody, then I would be definitely saying every day, my heart is open, my mind is open, I'm ready to allow you in my life. And when I'm eating dinner alone, which is 7 nights a week, I'm going to set a place for this other person to tell the universe I'm inviting them into my life.
Yeah, and it was 6 nights a week last week. Because I know I was there one of those nights. So your key words, Lorii, if I could just step in, because I know that you're going to say this in a second, is that Helen said, if I really wanted to. Did you catch that, Lorii?
If I really wanted to. So there's a negative, I mean, it seems like you're pushing it. So it has to come from the aspect of allowing rather than, putting a pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I get that.
Okay, so you know what? And Helen, we're gonna come back to you in a little bit.
It's not all about me. I want all my friends too. I mean, I have tons of single girlfriends as well as my friends over 40 female. We're all in the same shoes. So I'm just using myself as just an example,
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to have to start creating a space, which kind of makes sense. That's what we do in other aspects of our lives, and that's what you did, when you got married and had Lauren. So we're going, but the loving someone else and finding a soulmate is only just really one part of it, of the love aspect. I want to bring on Antonio Raimondo. He was one of the first 50 facilitators trained to teach the Bob Proctor's programs, The Science of Getting Rich. He is the author of The Science of the, I don't know how to say this, the Nikon business. He can tell me how to say that later. Unlocking the Secrets to a Successful Networking Business Model, the co-author of the best-selling book, another author of Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life, which we're going to talk about in a minute, what that's all about. Using the law of attraction to attract your soulmate. He is an author, teacher, speaker, and coach specializing in psychology at the University of Toronto and is often referred to as the love coach. And here's what I was talking about before, but not for the reasons you may think. It's about an attitude and approach to life. Welcome to the show, Antonio.
Thank you, Judy. It's quite an honor to be here, and also want to take the opportunity to thank Lorii for having faith in me and adding me to her list of co-authors. It's quite a...
Well, we're very happy to have you. And, we've been talking about finding a soulmate, like I said before, but being a love coach and finding love, it's not necessarily all about matchmaking, right?
No, absolutely not. I want to start first by answering you with a quote by Carol Barrett. What she says is, your relation with you sets the tone for every other relationship you have. And that's one of the things, that I maintain. So you're absolutely correct that finding a soulmate is not necessarily about matchmaking, although the end result will be to find your match. Life is about relationships. And the first and most important relationship is the one you have with yourself and how you feel about yourself. Now, being a love coach for me has been about how I approach life, which is coming from the energy and vibration of love. And I'd like to share a quote from Zig Ziglar, which I feel really catches the essence of this. He says, your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. So in other words, how you look at life determines your results. And I feel that as a love coach, I have a responsibility to share and teach that outlook towards life.
Well, Helen, you have a really positive, outlook on life. So I'm wondering about, especially for someone like Helen who really, she uplifts people and helps people and is just such a great, solid soul. Where do you start with someone like that? Because she really does seem to love life and love herself, and she's done such a great job raising an amazing daughter, and everything that she gives to the world is really solid. So I'm curious about that.
Well, I kind of look back. I don't know if you ever heard the expression a limiting belief or the baggage that you carry.
Oh God, I've been studying that for 2 years.
Okay, now, the thing is, the first step will be to really become aware that you have these limiting beliefs and that they exist, but not at the conscious level. Because at the conscious level, we've got the ability to ignore, to really ignore and reason things out and just reject things. But these beliefs are the beliefs that exist in our subconscious, and these we can't reject. It's like, if I can use the analogy of a computer, it's a program that has already been installed. So every time you click on something, you keep getting the same results.
So how do we get, I don't know, you said you can't get rid of them, but you tell us that we should limit them. So how does that work?
Well, the thing is this, the limiting beliefs are there. All what I'm saying is that they've been installed. once you're aware that they've been installed, and once you look at the results you're getting in your life, you can kind of identify what kind of limiting beliefs you have.
Well, you know what I used to call this complex? I used to call it the Cinderella complex, where our parents or our mothers would teach us that when we grow up, we're going to get married, we're going to meet the man of our dreams, and he's going to take care of us. Absolutely. And I've never really fallen into that pit, because I divorced when my daughter was 2, and I've raised my daughter with sole support and sole custody. So I don't fall into that, what the role is, what that dynamic is. You know, the answer to the question being the home. As much as I love being in my home and created a great nest, it's not where I spend most of my time. But I do want to get out of that mold, so to speak. So do you think that holds us back?
Absolutely. These old beliefs, that's your programming. So once you have identified them, now you've actually, sort of took the bull by the horn, and you kind of started going against the grain, even though other people haven't believed it. But the program is still there. Mm-hmm. So to acquire new programs, there's different ways that you look at your results and say, okay, what are the results that I want, and what is going to serve me better? And there's about 3 different ways that you can actually install, for the lack of a better word, a new program and a new belief system.
And what are those 3 ways?
Yeah,
I'm
waiting.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear the 3 ways, Antonio. And after this, I'm going to go back to Lorii, and we're all going to talk about the sexy secrets to a juicy love life. So what are the 3 ways that we can...
Okay, one of them
is this for limiting your beliefs? Is that what you're talking about now?
Well, no, limiting beliefs are beliefs that prevent you from acting and enjoying your life to the fullest.
Okay, so you're talking about how to install new beliefs?
Absolutely.
Okay, go for it.
So basically you'd be asking effective questions. Repetition would be the other one, and then changing your self-talk. So first, and the most important guiding principle to guide you and steer you in the right direction is by asking yourself a very simple question, regardless of whatever you're going through, whether it's good or bad. When you ask this question, your energy and vibration will just be raised. Now, the question that you always should ask yourself first is, what is the gift? And think about that. Okay, you're gone, someone just cuts you off on the road and starts driving and gets in front of you, starts driving slowly. So before you start honking your horn and you start getting mad and try to pass them, you ask yourself, what is the gift here? Then instantly, your mind immediately looks for the answers. Maybe the universe is telling me to slow down. There may be a traffic jam ahead. Oh, gee, I didn't realize I was driving slow, and I wasn't paying attention. So then, by asking this effective question, you will shift your focus to look for solutions which will determine what you're going to attract and what vibration you're in. And you know that being aware that these beliefs are controlling your actions, and you've analyzed your results to determine the belief system that are no longer supporting you, now you need to identify the beliefs that support you and then act on them. Okay, so then, what are the beliefs that support you? Now you use repetition. So one of the ways to install or download a new belief system is repetition. And there's so many tools that I can share. For example, we have the Mind Movie software that allows you to make your own movie that you can watch over and over on your phone or tablet. Just like having, I don't know if you've heard of the goal card, where you put it in your pocket and you write your goals on it. And that repetition just installs it into your brain. So now the other one is self-talk. Once you understand the power, the energy of words, and that it's a critical fact, it's really critical to understand that words have power and energy. So there's so many experiments that they've been carried out that show how our thoughts change the molecular structure of things. The question that I ask you, and you sort of think about that. Okay, if you know that thoughts are energy and that words are energy, and they can change the molecular structure of things, we need to be mindful about what we think and say. So let me ask you, about this by relationships. Are you chasing after a relationship and wondering why you can't have one? What are the questions you're asking yourself? Are you asking effective questions? Are you careful about your choice of words that you're thinking about on an ongoing basis? Because whatever you're saying, it's like a program that's going into your mind. So I have a quote, okay, that kind of ends this, and it was from the Angels of Abundance. It goes like this.
Okay, we can't hear you again. You're fading a little bit. Can you just speak up a little bit? Thank you.
How's that? Patiently attracting your desires works much better than chasing them, because anything you chase runs away.
What do you feel about that, Helen?
Well, I guess a lot of women do chase after men, or put too much pressure on men. And I, as a woman, when a man puts too much pressure on me, I run away. So I think it should be a nice flow, between people, that it comes and goes. So I don't know. I take that suggestion. I think a lot of women do have a tendency to put too much pressure. I guess that's what makes the dynamic of the relationships different. That wouldn't be my personal approach, but I can see many women that do that to soulmates that they think are soulmates. If it's soulmate, I think it would just happen organically.
Interesting. Yeah. You know what? Speaking of organic, I'd like to get to what Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life is about. I know that there are, I think, a dozen authors that wrote this book. Antonio, why so many authors?
Why so many authors? I think that's really from Lori's perspective. She was putting the book together. She had an idea, and I think she, at one time or another, met all these people. And I remember when I first met Lorii, we started talking. We instantly clicked. We had like mind. We had similar ideas, and I think she picked us in that spirit of, okay, she likes what we have. She had in mind about how to what information to provide to people about relationships, and she included everybody in that process.
Lorii, how were you inspired to write the book Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I myself has been single for a long time. I used to live in New York, just like Judy over here, and I cannot find anybody. And I said, okay, I have mastered all the books I can find in Barnes and Noble, and I said, okay, it's not working for me. And so when I moved into Chicago, this is where here is where I discovered the law of attraction, and so I manifested my soulmate when I had set an intention that I want to see this person in a month. This person showed up in 28 days. So I said, if I can do it, I can teach other people to do it. And so I have started my quest in helping other people. And I said, okay, I have to write this book for not only for the people in the United States, but all over the world.
So you were looking for some help and you couldn't find it, so you decided to write your own book.
I manifested my own soulmate. That's the reason why I said I can help other people doing it. And I have decided that I can help other people through writing a book.
Okay, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to read the book. So can you tell us a little bit about how it's put together and that type of thing?
Okay, so the first book, Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life, the people who join forces over here are different people who are from all over the world. So they are matchmakers, dating coaches, personal coaches, psychotherapists, psychoanalysts, and even sex experts. So it's the whole shebang for as far as love is concerned. So that's my purpose, in order to collaborate with as many people who knows about the industry, so that everybody can get different aspects from different sorts of people.
And did they tell about their personal stories? Did they tell about their advice, or because I wrote a book and it took such a long time and so much energy and effort to put it together. I can't imagine how many authors do you have of this one book? A dozen authors?
For this second book, it's a dozen authors. For the first book, it was 26 authors. So yeah, it was really a lot of effort in order to make sure that this is working well. So the people that I invited presented, some of them presented their own personal story, and some of them presented their own story, in the sense that, let's say the matchmaker, they presented some examples of how they were able to help other people, because I want to make sure that it's something that people can relate and they can apply immediately. Because I'm all after application. That's the reason why this has exercises that people can use in order to make sure that they can have this successful quest and be able to find somebody.
Well, let's talk about that. What are some of the sexy secrets?
So obviously, I have to make sure that I am just talking about my secret, because the other secrets, the other people's secrets, you can read them about, you can read them in the book. But obviously for my secret, as I was saying, you have to set an intention in order to make sure that, things will happen to you. And then you have to be clear with what you want. So, those are just some of them. But in my second book, I wrote, I was talking about happiness, because everything starts with happiness. You cannot share your happiness unless you start with your own happiness. So when you're happy also, things starts to show up. So it's a matter of changing how you perceive every moment, because every moment matters. So when you change your story, everything else will change around it. So, I just want to impart that to everybody, because obviously, especially those people who have been looking for somebody for a while, they have always been disappointed and they have been hurt. So why don't you just, start appreciating all the small things which is happening? Everything which is happening has a reason, and you have to realize that if you look at the positive side of things, there are always going to be something which you're supposed to be grateful about, and the world is so beautiful, or, you're so blessed with some other things which is not just probably your love and relationship, but there are other things which you're blessed about. So you just start pondering about that. I usually start my day with writing my gratitude journal, because the world has a lot of things to offer. I should say, thank the universe for everything.
So, Lorii, if I understand you, every day you should be starting with a positive aspect. We discussed that last week on Judy's show about, even with religion and numerology, everything starts with the basic of being grateful. So when you wake up in the morning in gratitude and harmony and joy, you try to get rid of the negative thoughts. This way you can allow positive things in your life and attract a mate or a love interest. This comes from a spiritual sense, if I understand you correctly.
Yes.
Like.
Everything, it falls back on you. You're working on yourself, and then somebody's going to show up in your life when you're ready, because you're working. It's all an inside job.
So you have to work on yourself and be your best person, and keep everything, whether you're angry at work, whatever is upsetting you or pissing you off, forget about that. Your priority right now, if we're listening to the sexy tips of a juicy love life, that's your priority right now. Forget all the rest, right?
Correct.
All right. I'm ready, Judy.
Okay, so Lorii, you said before that you had some tips for women who've been divorced and who are looking for love the second time around. What are some of those tips?
Okay, the first thing that you have to remember when you have been in a relationship which was not good, so obviously there was a purpose when you first met, and so you just have to appreciate that. But of course, you have to make sure that you have closure with this person. Obviously, let's say just like when I was having closure, I was of course. Here already in the United States, so most of the past relationships were over there in the Philippines. So I have to make sure that I get in touch with whomever I can be able to contact, because your energy is still resonating with all those past relationships, so you might as well start with closing with everybody. I know it's rough, especially if you have long years of relationship, but it can be done. You can probably name a lot of people who have had a relationship with it, which turn out to be in a divorce state, and so they never had really.
Well, almost everyone I know.
Yeah. You have to start with that, because obviously, if you start on the wrong footing, and then everything is going to be a repetitive pattern. You have to remove yourself from the pattern so that you will be able to clear up everything. And then, of course, if you can write down whatever worked for you and whatever didn't work for you, because obviously, when you have had a past relationship, you were able to recognize something about that relationship which you didn't like. So you don't want that to happen again. I know this is going to be, you have heard about that already, writing a long list. So obviously it will only happen to you to find somebody who is on the positive aspect of the list, if you are willing to take the chance in order to fall in love again.
Right, and
That's
probably just
usually
figure out what you didn't like in your first person, in the first, person that you got married to, obviously, and try not to attract those same things again, because I know a lot of people get into that whole, windstorm of falling into the same situations as they did before, right?
Yes, and I feel sorry for those people who actually have always been in an abusive relationship, and then it kept on repeating, and then they haven't realized that it all falls back on taking the time in order to love yourself.
Well, Lori,
Now,
it's true.
go ahead.
Isn't it true that they should release, what I think you're trying to say is to release the attachment that these women have to their past, or gentlemen have to their past relationships? Don't harbor the anger. Just release all that reminiscing. Just let it go and clear and move on. So don't harbor on that, or don't even tell the other person that you dated and harp on my past boyfriend, this, that, the other. Just remove it from your life and go forward.
Yes. And don't talk about it to your friends, because obviously we are women. We always talk to our friends about all of these bad things which has happened to us, and then obviously once you are reminiscing all those things, it's refreshing your memory. So the negative energy is over there. So you have to clear up all those things. And then, as I was saying, it's very important that you make a closure. I always push it, even though it's rough. You have to move. You have to treat each other like an adult person, in order to make sure. So there's a process that I usually teach people in order to go about closure. First thing you have to say is that you have to thank the person for being able to be in your life, and then you have to ask forgiveness for, I'm sure you have done something wrong as well to this person, and you have to ask for forgiveness. The next thing is that you have to tell them how you felt when you were in that situation, because I know it can be nerve-wracking, especially for those people who are baby boomers, because obviously they didn't learn how to communicate. And then the next thing, of course, is you have to wish them well, because obviously you have to give them your blessing that you are free to move on. And the same thing with you. You're releasing.
So there has to be a certain amount of forgiveness in there.
Yes. It's very important.
Now, Antonio, you had mentioned before about, the feeling of being overwhelmed and how we can kind of, I guess you had some steps to eliminate that feeling of being overwhelmed. I can imagine that as someone that got divorced, even just starting to think about, forgiving their ex and moving on can be very overwhelming. What are some steps that you could give to eliminate that? And even, I think, feelings of being overwhelmed, like Helen had mentioned, being a single mom and working and, everything that goes into that. How can we separate that?
Yeah, I mean, what you had said before, I think most of us, and most coaches, all have lived something very difficult, and through that difficulty, they've managed to come up with certain steps. So, like, with Lorii, with her experiences, and with you with your book that you've written, and so then you share with them because you were able to overcome. So in my case, I've had so many things happen in my life. I mean, everything from financial to relationships. It was just incredible. And just something simple like your emails. When you look at your emails that come in, you're swamped. You don't know where to start. And
God, I get that feeling every day.
Well, that's normal in life. There's so much happening. But the critical thing is that when you have too much, it's like going back to that computer analysis. You click, you open a window. Before you know it, the computer freezes. And the same thing happens with us when we're overwhelmed.
And you get into those habits of just kind of surviving, not thriving.
Yeah, you're not doing anything. So, having gone through that, about 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, I had hired a coach, a fantastic lady, Cindy Ashton, to help me sort of create my brand. And through that, I had to kind of ask myself certain questions, because people always ask me, how is it that whenever you've gone through so much, you always kind of seem to float, like it's like you got a life jacket. And so I started, that'd be great if I could somehow box that. So I started asking myself questions. What is it that I do when I'm in a situation? And that's basically how these, what I call 5 master steps came out. It's basically, number one, you identify all the issues that you're thinking about. So, okay, I have to fix my house, I got to answer my email, I have to pay the bills. So you make a list. And when you write something down, there's a direct connection. Don't type it, write it. That's really important. And at that point, now you've put it on paper, what you're doing is you're clearing your mind. You're creating a vacuum, and the universe hates a vacuum. So you're doing sort of a model for that for your mind. You're clearing your mind by writing it down. The second step is clarify. Take each one and write down, okay, I want to clean my house. But very specifically, it's the bedroom. And secondly, it's the couch that's in the bedroom. It needs to be upholstered. So you be very clear. Write it all down. So now, again, you're clearing your mind. And you go down the list. Let's say you have 10 items. Once you've done that, you want to prioritize. Okay, what's important? So you take that list and start putting a number from 1 to 100, and 100 being very important. And then once you've done that, put them in order of importance. So now you've got a list, a plan where to start. So then now you can focus on one. Because our minds are only made to work and really work efficiently, working on one thing at a time.
So prioritizing is very important.
Very important. So then, with that process of prioritizing, you've got now you can start, you take the one and you start focusing on the one. So now that's where the law of attraction comes in, because your thoughts are just focused on one thing. And you start attracting all the answers that come with it. So you're asking effective questions. And even at this point, you might even want to bring somebody in from the outside and say, listen, this is the problem I have. Do you see any solutions? And once you've done that, now you've got your plan, you can start taking action. So instead of just sitting there and wondering where to start, you know where to start. Of course, it may happen that whatever's down in number 10 pops up once in a while, so you kind of have to stop what you're doing and handle let's say the number 10 item. But the key thing is, it's like having a goal and having a direction to go on a map. You may, when you're driving along on a street, you may get a roadblock, but eventually you get to your destination. So
you're saying don't try to attract too many things at once. Focus on something that's really important to you and just go after that one thing?
To a degree, absolutely. But the way you focus it, you have to be able to kind of sort it out. And the best way to sorting it out is you write it down, make sure you know, and find out what each one is, because that way it clears your mind. And once you focus on one thing, just by the law of attraction, you start, bringing in the answers and the results. And once you finish that, you move on to number 2. You click it out, put a little tick beside on your list, and go on to the next item until they're all finished.
Helen, are you ready to write that thing down?
Absolutely. I'm going to be setting a placemat at my table every night when I have dinner alone, and I'm going to write in a journal every night before I go to sleep in what exactly I want and what the priorities are. So I was listening, I paid attention, and I'm ready.
I love it. What a great student you are. My gosh.
Well, you have such great information from your guests. I'm listening and learning.
I know. They really do have a lot of great information. And to read their book, Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life, Using the Law of Attraction to Attract Your Soulmate. Lorii, where's the best place to get this book?
Yeah, they can find it at Amazon. So it's available, the first volume, the second volume. All they have to do is go over there, or they can go to Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life as well if they want to find copy.
What's the website again?
www.sexysecretstoajuicylovelife.com.
sexysecretstoajuicylovelife.com?
Correct.
Okay, great. sexysecretstoajuicylovelife.com. And it's advice, it's anecdotes, it's personal stories, it's tips, everything's in there, right? If you're looking for a love and probably if you're just looking to better any kind of relationship, I could imagine this book works for you, right?
Yes, even married women are interested.
Even if who?
Married women are interested as well.
Married women, okay. There you go.
Well, it's all about manifesting, right?
Yeah, and that could be a whole nother show also. And Antonio, you have a special offer you would like to tell everyone this evening. You're offering a consultation for $10, which the retail value here is $150.
Yeah,
love coaches, and this, like you said, it's not just really about finding a soulmate, but loving yourself really is where where it all starts. You can register on Antonio's website. What's your website, Antonio?
www.solutionmastery.com.
solutionmastery.com and type in the comment section LA Talk Radio. And this is only for the first 111 people to sign up. That's not a numerology number, is it? 111?
Yes, it is.
So hurry and get you.
You know
Yes,
how
go
that
ahead.
came about? You know how that came about? When I, was told I was going to be on your show, I wanted to do a bit of research and just listen into what you do. And I listened to the show you had taped about numerology. So that, and I like numerology, so I kind of looked at it, and I said, I wonder if there's any connection here. I picked up the book, and the Juicy Secrets, and I looked, and I'm the 10th chapter. My chapter's on page 111. I looked up 111 on the internet, and it talks about being, that's your angels giving you a sign. It's about inspiration. It's about being intuitive. And basically everything it described was me. It was almost like I was getting a message from my angels saying, hey, you're on the right track here. So, and
Funny.
And that's what inspired me to give this promotion on, as well as, the first 111 people that register will get this, to offer this consultation.
Well, you just gave me the answer as to why I came up with the concept of my networking company, Over 40 Females, on January 1st, 2010, because those numbers are 010110. There's 3 ones in there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. That is so apropos. Okay, excellent. So again, on solutionmastery.com, if you want to sign up for a consultation for only $10. It's 30 minutes long, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fantastic. And thank you both, Antonio and Lorii, for coming on What Women Want this evening. We learned a lot tonight. I know a lot of women out there are just dying to know, all of the advice and the tips that you guys have to offer. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure and an honor.
And thank you for the advice from the single woman. I appreciate that. Thank you for me and my friends.
And Helen, as always, thank you for your insightful comments and advice that you're giving. You're incredibly inspiring to women out there because you put yourself out there, you tell them about what you're going through, and women really, they resonate with that. And you're such a great role model for women that are just really seeking to be a much better version of themselves.
Well, Judy, you've always inspired me, and thank you, Over 40 Females, in putting that out for us, Judy. You've inspired, encouraged, and really take care of all of us. So thank you, Judy.
Oh, my pleasure, Helen. Next week is Are You Tripping on Your Marketing Shoelaces? I love that title. 3 easy tips to tie it all together, no pun intended, with marketing guru and author of The Accidental Marketer, Mary Abbazia. She's an incredible lady. I can't wait to get her on the show. And thank you again, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week for another inspirational and educational 50 minutes with What Women Want. Good night, everyone.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss, right here on LA Talk Radio.